We're live on Twitter. Twitter's fast. Substack's slow as hell.
So I actually have a question
Uh-huh.
to start this off that might be kind of interesting. Um,
Oh, do you? All right. Hold on.
how how f-
Oh,
oh,
wait. Let's start it properly, but we have to make sure we're on the air. Hold on. And I don't want to. I don't want to. And don't prep me with the question. So let's see what's going on. Hold on, Kyle. Just give me 1 second, Kyle. Comrade. I'm sorry. I just. Let's see here. I didn't mean to not be a good comrade there for a minute. Just give me a second. All
yeah,
right,
no
hold up.
worries.
We're live there. I just gotta make sure we're live on whatchamacallit before we kick it off. I don't see us live. Whatchamacallit? Substack just takes forever to populate. I just don't know why.
Right on.
Go to our live show. Let's take this and hold up. Let me change some of these titles really quick. Taylor out the hate from the Fed. Number go up. The big beautiful bill. Changing these titles. M2 money supply. Ethereum centralization saved. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Okay, cool. We are live. There's 4 people there already.
Sweet.
Ask questions. And hey, why don't there's a bunch of questions on whatchamacallit.
Spotify, Substack.
Yeah, Spotify that we haven't answered in a couple of days. So maybe we should look at those at the end of the show. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, perfect.
Like this one from Will yesterday.
And then there's one from Maddie about DeFi updates.
Well, that was just something I spoke about on the show actually. And she just said thanks. So
And now it's
I think the
Wednesday, and
idea there is provide more updates on DeFi stuff.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then somebody said Luke said something, I don't know, and then Kyle, whatever. Anyway, let's go. Anyway, let's start. Hey everybody, welcome to our live show. Here we are. What's up, everybody? Athena, what's up? Athena, our homie, a DCN fellow, the top artist and designer in the world. Everybody, if you guys ever need anything from in the design space or any art or anything DeFi or NFT, Athena is the person. So find her. Let's see here. Motion, what's up? Bert, what's up? What's up, everybody? On Substack, what's up, everybody on Twitter? My name is Matt, aka Free Market Matt, and that's Kyle, aka Comrade Kyle, who went all DSA on us, or no, Democratic Socialists of America. Yes, DSA on us. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But Kyle, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm jealous you went to Wrigley.
Oh, here you go, bro. A Cubbies hat. Straight from the park.
Oh, fresh. There we go.
Fresh.
Fresh hat.
Fresh.
There we go.
Fresh hat. I'm rocking. I've been to 8 ballparks in the past 2 months, and I got hats at 6 of 8, and I have to go back to get the other 2. I will do that.
All right.
But
Well, there we go.
but Wrigley was amazing. If you haven't been, Kyle, please go. I think it's the best ballpark I've seen so far.
Okay. I will have to go.
So
I've
Kyle,
always wanted to go.
you do bucket list. Just get it done. Get it done. Maybe it's your honeymoon. I don't, I don't know. I don't know if you're.
But yeah, I did have a question. Jumping on here.
Yeah, sure.
And it's I don't know if it's a simple question, but it's like basically like how many degrees of separation on wallets do you think should exist between like a hack and a like exit out of an exchange, where basically, like, people maybe not know this. I have said this on the show. I got hacked a while ago, and I've been trying to use some blockchain data to like trace it back and see where the funds go, or see where funds are going in and out of wallets that were connected to the wallet that hacked me. Blah blah blah. And so my question is, so how many degrees of separation do you think would be like smart or bad? Because what I'm seeing is that it's roughly 5 to 7 degrees of separation between money out of my wallet and then into lots of different exchanges. And so it's interesting to me to think that it wasn't that many for me to trace
Mm.
it, and then to like peel back the onion just a few times, like just go to the person who deposited the money into this wallet, and then go to the first person who deposited money into that wallet, and kind of trace the or creator and kind of originator in that sense. And it just hasn't I've been very shocked that I'm like, okay, 5 degrees of separation here between basically of every single exchange, every major
So
exchange.
so my answer would be zero because you shouldn't be hacking people. But it would be two, and that would be two mixers. One mixer to one wallet and one mixer to another, and that should be sufficient. I think that if anybody's just sending wallets and having degrees of separation, that's traceable on chain is just stupid. It doesn't matter if you have one or 100. You could trace it. Like, just what are you doing?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's really interesting because you can see the money go to go to a wallet, then you can see it dispersed. You can see it like sent to just 5 different wallets, and
It's
so
just that
since that, I
stupid.
mean, I've been taking some time and just be going through like, okay, this is one of those 5 wallets, peeling back the onion on all those on that single wallet, and then it's like, wow, like in a lot of these different circumstances, there are times where money goes through a mixer or it goes through stuff like, um, it seems like Chain Flip is
Hmm.
the, mixer of choice right now, which is, um, like a mixer kind of bridge. But even with that, I think you would be able you should be able to go to Chain Flip and ask them what was the recipient address. Like, I don't think I can see publicly. Like, whenever I see Chain Flip, when I'm unraveling things, I kinda just consider it a closed door. Um
Yeah, that seems like a shitty mixer then. But yeah,
But it's
no,
not a
I
mixer,
mean,
it's not, like, intended to do that, like, it's not supposed to be a tornado cache, it's supposed to just
well
be
then,
a bridge,
then what the hell are they
flipping
doing? I don't.
chains.
I don't know. It seems like it doesn't matter if it's again. If it doesn't matter if it's one or 100, you can find a bot or you can have, and you can trace this super easily. It's just, are you betting that somebody's too lazy to start going over 5 or 7 or 12 times physically? But then again, it's just like if they're halfway decent at programming, they'll make a program to do it and they'll just chase it. It's just, it seems silly to hack somebody and do that.
That's what I mean. I'm just like, is it really this easy? Because I spoke to some lawyers and they basically said, you know, it'll cost a lot of money for me to ask a lawyer to unravel this. But if I could spend some of my own time and trace the money back to an exchange, then I might have something. And I've been doing this kind of out of fun to just see like what I would uncover too. Um, there's this really great tool called Breadcrumbs. I've also been using just Etherscan and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been really interesting to just like there's these tools you can just press a button and it'll show you like all the wallets that are associated with that wallet. Um, and you
Hmm.
can make like a spread map, like a bubble map, and connect the dots basically.
Oh
And
yeah,
it'll automatically connect the dots for you. It's been really
that's
interesting.
That's interesting that that exists, man. You should pop those links in the notes. We can share them with people because I honestly I never even used that or knew they existed, but I assume that they did because I've seen it work before. But
Yeah, I just kinda looked up, like, investigative tools, and this it's called Breadcrumbs. This has been the best one. I've actually been, like, the only person. I'm the most if you go check their Discord, I'm the most recent person who's commenting because, they haven't updated their Solana block data in a long time. It's, like, 6 months, and They responded to my Discord bitching, and they said that there's just been so much Solana, activity that they have to, like, catch up, and they needed to, like they're gonna need to batch
Breadcrumbs
it
has
all
been
in,
around for
so
a
it's
while, I think, actually, since like
yeah, it's I mean, it seems like
18, no?
they're
17?
super on top of everything Ethereum, so I gotta hand that to them. Um, Solana is just a whole other programming animal, even of in and of itself. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's a really amazing tool when you play around with it.
Athena says Etherscan is so much better than the shit show called SoulScan. Correct. And really quick, what
Mhm.
everybody, just to let everybody know what we're talking about, by the way, is that when you're talking about blockchain, and I don't know what level everybody is here, everything is recorded on chain. That's the beauty of blockchain and transparency is you can go to Etherscan or SlowScan or any Bitcoin wallet, and you can see the ins and outs of it, and just click wallets of where it's sent. You'll see where it came in from, where it went out to. You click that wallet, see where the money went into, where it went out from. He's talking about different tools. Anything that you put on the blockchain, every sale, every cent, every buy, every sell, every transaction, every airdrop, every gas fee, it's going to be all on chain. So you'll be able to see it. And if you get hacked, you'll be able to trace it unless somebody does some Houdini magic and obfuscates that transaction. Which still
Yeah, what's
then
interesting to
there are tools to get through that as well.
yeah, it's something that people can if they start looking at blockchain data, something to like a concept to introduce to people is like phantom transactions of basically you look at a wallet and people like the wallet data, the blockchain data shows a transaction occurred, but but it's like fake. And it doesn't it's like they call them phantom transactions. They look real, but they're not there. And it's like a phishing technique.
Hmm,
I
interesting.
still like don't really understand how it appears on the blockchain data. Um, but yeah, it's weird. There's like all sorts of these phantom transactions and like fake tokens that get sent to people.
All right, so don't get hacked, people. Now you know. Let's get into more topics of today's show,
And
though.
yes, when one more thing, shout out to SoulScan, or no shout out to SoulScan. EtherScan is way better. Athena is right. There really isn't an equivalent blockchain explorer um, in Solana as there is in basically every Ethereum uh, like Binance chain. BSC scan is really awesome. Etherscan really awesome. Arbitrum really great, but the Solana ones blow. Like they all suck. Like Solana FM, Solana like scan, Soul scan. They all suck. They're all bad.
So what we have on our docket besides that today, and as you see on the Twitter, we got to move on, dude. What we have on our docket today is we have Michael Saylor. Me and Kyle have some beef. We have Arthur Hayes. He had some comments on the Fed and the debt and stable coins adding to the debt. We have about $110,000 Bitcoin right now, which number went up. A lot of Bo Hines mumbo jumbo. Also, we have what was his name? Plan B. He put out a video today. He's also pretty bullish. The big beautiful bill passed today. We have M2 money supply. More talk about that. People are really talking about M2 money supply and Ethereum centralization. Kyle has some hot takes about that. Actually, kind of goes with the Michael Saylor. Also, we have, and he put this in here. What did Comrade Kyle put in here again? Oh, on-chain and off-chain rails and centralization. The difference between, say, Robinhood and Coinbase to Tornado Cash. So we have a lot to talk about, and we have about 45 minutes more to do it before Kyle has to run out of the house and go to the grocery store or something that he forgot to do this morning. That he told me, why am I pushing back the live today? Because he has shit to do. Um, Kyle, where do you want to start?
um, I guess we can start with Michael Saylor. That's fine with me.
All
Um,
right. So why do you want to be a communist and stop the production of the means of production and Michael Saylor's distribution and grab of his own wealth? Why do you want to why do you want to stop all this?
um, I mean, similarly for what it seems like are the reasons that you do. I don't. I believe that Bitcoin is an instrument for freedom and decentralization, where Michael Saylor consolidating Bitcoin and being deified into this kind of like king of Bitcoin, where everybody kind of celebrates everything that he does. And I just think that that's not a very positive thing for something that should be a decentralized asset. Um, there's stuff where that you even I think alluded to. Um,
Whoa, 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 whoa,
and
comrade. I know you like
well, I mean, I was
community
gonna
based stuff,
say,
but that doesn't mean I'm going to be part of your community, comrade.
but I
Your
was gonna
commune, if you will.
mention like security problems where, right, consensus security, consolidating too much Bitcoin into one person can lead to security concerns. Um, yeah, I just why we can it's the same reason why people shouldn't like people like Jeff Bezos and, the massive consolidation of wealth. Power corrupts, power doesn't bring out the best in people, I should say.
So I think that look, we can. I'm sorry, we had a Cleveland Guardians thing. We'll talk about that later. Luis Ortiz is under investigation for gambling and unusual pitches. Um, juicy stuff. Or one of our
Oh,
starting
it came
pitchers.
out that it's actually gambling. That was like the rumors this morning.
Yeah, that was the rumors this morning. But now they're talking about it. I don't think it's come out yet. Anyway, look, I understand what you're saying with this deified and having this one person that is like the de facto leader of Bitcoin right now. But I think that that's why we have a decentralized system. And one of the things that that is a feature, not a bug, the fact that you don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, that you don't have a CEO, that there is enough decentralized hash power that you cannot manipulate the system, that you can't overtake it or commandeer it. That is that you can't, you print more Bitcoin or restrict it or overturn transactions or have double spends. These are all features, not bugs. And no matter who's going to run out to the front of the pack, if it's Craig Wright that says he is Satoshi Nakamoto, or Michael Saylor that's going to buy it all and say that he is the now the spokesman for Bitcoin. At the end of the day, Bitcoin will last without these guys. And so I don't care if he's buying it or not. I don't care if he's selling it or not. I don't care if he's trying to structure his company around Bitcoin hodling, because if it goes tits up and his stock crashes and his company crashes because of, honestly, I probably think there's shady business going on there. Bitcoin will still be and exist, and then we will see the power of this decentralized system. So I don't care. Anybody could come out there and say whatever, and I hope that if they are coming out and saying whatever, kind of like Craig Wright, if people believe that he was Satoshi, then you could take the heat of that as well. Get the CIA over there to arrest his ass for making a asset that they couldn't control. you
Yeah,
know?
no, I mean, I agree with the general like free market principle there that if Michael Saylor wants to buy a bunch of Bitcoin, he can buy a bunch of Bitcoin. Um, I mean, I do disagree with their statement that Bitcoin's going to be here forever. There is the consensus consolidation power issue
Mhm.
where you know what's it they can knock out all the validators and that sort of thing. So um I it's just not for me to like look at people, especially in a decentralized system. Satoshi Nakamoto um was inherent it's an inherently decentralized system by not having this CEO. And you're right, people can say whatever they want. The news can publish, you know, uh, headlines whenever he buys. That's definitely in the right of, news in their publications. But the news wouldn't publish it if people didn't read it. And so there's an aspect there of like humans gravitating towards these singular figures. And I don't argue that that's not potentially human nature, but I just think it's a negative, especially for an asset like Bitcoin. Um, there's not I mean, there are a few figures that we look to for signals around the US dollar, right? Jerome Powell, the president, the leader of the Fed, the president at the time, likely the treasury secretary, people like that. But those are eph likely ephemeral figures. Every couple years, they get shifted in and out.
Right.
There's a little bit of a democratic in some degree, a democratic view of that. And so to me, that like the dollar, that it can make a little more sense because you do need to focus on like the figure and their policy at that time. You know, that's important. But Bitcoin, as you said, is immutable. It's gonna go on forever. It doesn't need these guys. That's kind of my point. It doesn't need us. It doesn't need those guys. We don't need them either. Um, yeah, so you buy master as a stock by all means.
No way.
Um,
I think they're gonna go. I think that Michael's gonna go tits up with this idea. But I hope it doesn't happen before the sake of Bitcoin and number go up. Uh, but again, I think that it's just one of those things. We'll just watch it play out, and you'll see people fall off, and we've seen them fall off throughout time. Of who's going to DFI. We had Roger Ver back in the day, then we had Craig Wright, and all these people that came out and tried to run to the front of the line of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin proved them to be just fallible people that are tried to make a buck, and next thing you know, you had Bitcoin just keep on doing it. TikTok next block. So I just don't. But the thing I will defend Fitz Sailor for is he has made a strategy, for lack of a better word, and it's successful or not. And I'm going to be skeptical until I'm not. For different companies to buy into Bitcoin, which now has moved the price up, which has now moved it into a strategy of being on corporate balances, which has now moved it into politics, which gave people enough money to lobby for laws that weren't detrimental to the industry. So honestly, I think that the industry owes Michael Saylor quite a bit of gratitude because if it wasn't for his buys, in my opinion, and his really honestly psychotic bullishness on Bitcoin, which honestly I think he is an absolute psychopath. like like the literal word of a psychopath, that he is what he is, but he's putting his psychopathic energies into Bitcoin. Great. I'm happy it's not other things. um has moved Bitcoin to where it's at today, and then there's people with a couple Bitcoin that was able to start lobbying, and Coinbase and other people that had substantial holdings went in there and started getting into politics, getting into policy, getting into the markets, and I don't think that would have happened without Michael, honestly.
I agree. He's a great evangelist for uh Bitcoin and for digital assets. His when he talks about Bitcoin being like, electronic money and things like that, and it's compelling. He's compelling to listen to. Um have you ever seen that video where is somebody compiled like all these clips and it's like Michael Slater needs a nap, and it's like him like on all these videos and he's just like
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it
he
did.
literally looks like he needs a fucking nap, and
It's
he
so funny,
hasn't
dude.
slept. Um, but I mean, and that's partial to my point. Like, you know, by deifying this guy, he's in demand, and has to be on CNN and all these talk show hosts and going on podcasts and blah 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 blah. Where at the same time, like, is there diversity of opinion there? Is there are people going and listening to these other people that you just mentioned? Um, who are the other, Bitcoin evangelists? What Anthony and Topoulos or whatever, I forget his name. I can't even remember it, right? Like, um, Roger Ver. Um, right. So this is kind of the point is there shouldn't be a single person that, leads this asset. Um,
Well,
that's just what I think.
I think that there absolutely isn't one single person. I just think that he's the most covered right now because of his massive Bitcoin buys. But I think anybody who's been paying attention to the space knows that there are a lot other people that they should be paying attention to, and actually have way more credibility than him about actually the ethos of Bitcoin.
You
Do you want to
definitely.
talk about this centralization and decentralization Robinhood thing too, since it kind of like links up with with this topic?
Yeah, this was just a thought I had, of just like, well, even like Bankless had this, I think was like one of their most recent shows. It was Coinbase versus Robinhood. Like who's gonna win out? You know, they're now
Mm.
seen kind of as these rivals. And it got me thinking of like, okay, well, what are the degrees of decentralization that divide everything from a centralized bank like the Federal Reserve to your regional Ohio or Northern California, like regional, sub-regional bank.
Hmm.
um, then what about a Coinbase or just like a centralized exchange, something that has to sit in the middle there, a Robinhood that has to sit in the middle there? What are the degrees of their decentralization? And then getting even further into that, what we were talking about earlier, mixers in the tornado caches of the world, things that are entirely fully decentralized that um, no person can really control, like in theory, is the point. Um, so I just think it's an interesting topic because there are degrees of separation between these. I mean, it seems to me that Robinhood is more centralized than Coinbase. Um, but at the same time, I don't. I think that would just be because of its TradFi connotations. But I don't
Mm.
discount the fact that Coinbase will seize a user's assets and stop people from trading, just like Robinhood is notoriously done for
Oh,
the
oh.
GameStop thing, right?
I mean,
So
every time that Coinbase goes down in the middle of a rally is literally what it's doing.
yeah, and so is one better because it's more associated with crypto? Like, is Brian Armstrong better than um? I'm blanking on the Robinhood guy's name, Tenev,
What's his
right?
name? Vlad Tenev? Is it Vlad Tenev?
Yeah, Vlad. I was gonna say Tad Tenev. Um, yeah,
Is it Vlad Tenev?
I
Or is
I
that somebody
believe so.
else? I can't remember.
Yeah,
um,
Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood Markets.
yeah. Okay. So, so my opinion, really quick, is first of all, that's an interesting thought experiment, and I'm going to think about that actually deeper, because I really want to think about the differences between them. But right now, if you're going to say, let me compare Robinhood, Coinbase, and a traditional bank. Let's keep Tornado Cash. Let's keep OTCs and other ways of acquiring crypto, especially Bitcoin, out of it, because those are definitely a different decentralized. And also, we can talk about black market. Um, if we're just comparing those three, I would say that they are all TradFi, yet one allows you to try to escape TradFi still. And I think that's going to be the time is very limited of that, and that's Coinbase. Um, they both have KYC AML coming into it. They both basically have the same banking rules. I think that, but Coinbase is the only one where you can still buy a crypto or and transfer it off of Coinbase. Relatively simple after you purchase it, right? So you buy a Bitcoin, you transfer it to a wallet. You can have a Bitcoin in a wallet that you might have not even created in the United States, and then transfer it into a Coinbase wallet. Now you would have to do KYC, AML, and all that rigmarole, and have a bank and link it up to get it, have that off ramp. But they still have this ability to transact. Now, obviously, if you don't have the proper credentials, I have heard of people transferring crypto into Coinbase and then just holding it, because they don't want money laundering through it. So it's that kind of like centralized thumbs on the scale, pinch that you might have in a traditional finance system as well, that Coinbase definitely abides by. But still, you're able to transfer and go to another wallet. Now, Robinhood, on the other hand, I've tried to transfer off of Robinhood. I actually had, what was the crypto? I bought Phantom back in the day. Was it Phantom
Yeah,
or was it
Phantom,
it might have been something else,
FTM.
POL. Anyway, Matic. It was Matic actually. So I think I bought Matic, and they were delisting Matic because the SEC said that they were a security. So they started, like, delisting all the things that they said was the securities. So then there's them trying to cup the balls and suck the shaft of the SEC, Gary Gensler at the time. So they definitely messed with the customers. And then at that same time, you had to go through a secondary AML KYC process to remove it, even though you did the process to actually set up the account. Your bank's all linked. They have every information you have, their mother's maiden name and all that shit. But then when you were trying to get your crypto off, they made you go through another process. And then that didn't work. They actually had a bug in air quotes, which is complete bullshit, where you're going through AML and KYC process to get it off of the exchange, and it would just drop out. And it would say, "Oh, you have to start over again." So, as of right now, I think Robinhood, honestly, is a company that it's kind of like, uh, they're kind of cosplaying. They're cosplaying as crypto adjacent, when they're actually worse than traditional banks, in my opinion. I think Robinhood is worse than traditional banks, and they're cosplaying as crypto adjacent. And Coinbase is cosplaying as traditional banks. I think that's what I would say. And traditional banks is just the gold standard of that's what we use. We all know how they work. Okay, whatever. It is what it is.
Okay. I mean, I understand the analogies. Is there one like I mean, I don't think we need to get into this. I mean, which one is better for people? Um, is
Well, I
it
think well,
banks or is I think you were saying that it's Coinbase because Coinbase allows for the option to get out of a bank, where it does allow for you to kind of straddle that duality a little more than Robinhood does, or at least in your eyes, a safer way than Robinhood does.
yeah. So in my eyes, a bank, you know the rules. You are pretty much stuck within a bank, within a country, within their rules. You're going to be, so it's, and you need to have banking in traditional banks to have,
And with like
basically
maybe a few banks right now, I could buy some Bitcoin or maybe Ethereum, like
an ETF,
maybe.
maybe, and an
Yeah,
ETF, of
exactly.
course. But the banking system is the status quo. It is the base of finance. As you know, you're house shopping, and like how much of a pain in the butt you have to have bank and the bank proof of funds and the bank things for them to even take an offer and open a contract in a house, which is absolutely mind blowing. It's mind blowing that you just can't go in there and say, "I have money. Here's my money," and they go, "Well, do you have it in an accredited bank? Can you please send me a statement that's from your bank printed with your name on it?" And it's just like, okay, for them even to take an offer, you can't even tell them an offer without all this shit already. anyway, long story short, so you know that. Um, so banks aren't safe, but they are what they are for the country that you live in. But when you're talking about Robinhood, we have already seen Robinhood mess with customers, mess with trading, shut things off, delist items, and really don't care about the consumer base in more of a preservation when they get into preservation mode. And so I don't trust that one bit. Coinbase has yet to do that, even though they do it on individual scales. Which I think a lot of people would argue with that, but I still see that Coinbase, you can still send your Bitcoin off Coinbase through a mixer into a wallet, put it in a ledger, and carry it across borders. Um, I guess through some sleuth, some real fancy sleuth, they can figure out where that Bitcoin was, popped up back in the traditional market or on some exchange or off ramp. They can find it out, but still, Coinbase allows you to do that.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I generally agree. I'm not a huge fan of Robinhood. Um, but yeah, I mean, the interesting story going around this week is their choice to use Arbitrum as well as
Oh, right, right.
um,
Yeah, what
their
did you
like
think about
layer
that?
two.
Okay, so the news that was out today, I don't know if you listened to the show yet or not, or if you read this news, is that they have tokenized OpenAI and SpaceX using Arbitrum, as a way to get exposure to private market uh, stocks. I love it. What do you think?
Well, open. Well, yeah. So OpenAI is not even. like a publicly traded company yet,
Well,
right?
see,
So what they're
same
doing,
with SpaceX. Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, what they're doing is they're following the valuation of the company, um, and using like a third party service to create to artificially create the value of it. Um, I mean, I think that's fine. Like, creating these
They're
new,
they're pissed, by the way.
fine. Oh yeah, OpenAI is fucking mad. Yeah, they're hella mad. It's, well, but fuck them. Like, you can do. My point is you could if you could create a new financial derivative, um, it's totally fine. Like, if there's a market for it for people to trade for something, create it. It's about creating value. That's like a free. That's a true free market.
Do you feel that there's hypocrisy? I think every time OpenAI opens their mouth about anybody doing anything with their company is like hypocrisy. It's like they scrape the whole internet for their company, and if you scrape financial servers to make a derivative or a stock, a digital stock, they're all pissed off. It's like, bro, didn't we
Yeah,
just do what you did to everybody's shit?
100%. Yeah,
We just
they
scraped your
it's
numbers and
bullshit.
made a stock.
Um, but I do think the choice of them, like choosing Arbitrum, right? You're EVM compatible, you get the Ethereum chain, Ethereum security. Um, there has been talk about like why not Solana? Why didn't it why didn't they go for Solana? Um, I think at this point Solana is not scalable um for the degree that Robinhood wants. Post Ethereum Denkun update, apparently there is a lot more transaction capacity on the layer twos. And that Denkun update was in what, April or March of this year. Um, and yeah, so there's just more. It's just a tech infrastructure choice. I also know that there's some just like insider connections between Robinhood and Arbitrum. Nothing like nefarious, but just like some of the team members work together. Um, and so there's that kind of mix over. Um, and so it's like friendly faces in a sense. So
Right. Right. I do think that it's interesting that we're finding that the conscious choice of a collective in Ethereum has saw the threat of losing their market share to Solana. Solana not understanding how the market was wanting to capture the market so quickly that people got frustrated with Solana and the products that were coming out of Solana, and Ethereum seizing the day and updating and upgrading to a place where we have layer twos and their settlement layer being the chain of choice, if you will, for things like this. As you see, Robinhood going to Arbitrum and Ethereum and EVM compatible, you know, layer twos and blockchains instead of Solana, and saying we don't want to mess with that. And I think that shows a what do I want to say? I think that when the market, remember when Solana was doing all the meme coins and it was taking away the market share and like everything like like NFTs and everything started going on Solana and it started popping off, and Solana just rose so quickly and they're like, this is better. It's the chain. And everybody got hyped about it. And then the frustrations with Solana started to kick in, and everybody's like, Ethereum is lagging behind. They're not doing anything. Number isn't going up. Yet at the same time, they were kind of just like, we'll wait, we'll develop, we'll continue to, tweak and figure out what's the best way forward. And I feel that we're in a space right now where um, the measured approach may be better than everybody thought back. Let's call it a year and a half ago.
yeah, I mean, Solana is gonna face this meme coin situation, and have to shake this reputation. Um, David Sachs, is definitely going to be there to help that and like try to boost, um, Solana's kind of credibility with institutions. Um, the team at Van Eck seems to really strongly want a Solana ETF. Um, from my experience working there or under them at the comms at Serotonin, yeah, that was also something I could see. They're very strongly convicted on Solana. Um, and so I think it's something that the like in January, the fucking Trump coin, meme coin shit broke the Solana chain. The Solana chain, the quote unquote Solana chain, uh, had network congestion and broke. And
Hmm.
if you are a large institutional player, that is something you do not want. You don't want that kind of like sword of Damocles hanging over your head. Of like at any minute now, things could break and it could ruin me. Um, and so yeah, Ethereum 100% uptime, like it's just never breaks, right?
So wait, we have a
Um,
couple questions. One statement from Athena says, "I'm a Solana enjoyer for reasons that are obvious, but I'm not delusional to think that it's anywhere near the Ethereum's infrastructure." And M. Kurt said, "Are we bearish on Solana long term, or are we bullish?"
um, I'm generally not. Um, I believe there's going to be multiple networks that exist in the future, the same way that there's like different softwares or different like internet browsers. Um, and so there's obviously going to be better ones than others. You could take your pick between the Windows and the Macs and the Linuxes, or um, what's your preferred internet browser. There are going to be people who are going to say, well, my preferred blockchain of choice is Solana, or maybe it's something that doesn't exist yet or is very early. Barachain, um, fucking Monad, right? Hasn't even launched its main yet, and is gearing up to be a huge competitor to Solana. Um, yeah, so there's plenty of reasons to like. There are reasons to believe in Solana. It has amazing UX. They've built beautiful decks, like
Yeah, yeah.
infrastructure, beautiful. The team behind it is very astute. Um, Anatoly at Solana is not a dummy. They're doing
No,
good
he's not.
stuff.
Nope.
And so yeah, there's a lot of reasons to believe in that team and the product still shipping. Like them starting to mix into mobile is generally probably a smart play, considering everybody on the planet has a phone. What if they're the first like smartphone, smart contract phone type deal? I mean, they kind of already are with the Solana phone, but it was a piece of shit. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to believe in Solana. You just have to kind of decide: is that seeing where they're playing? Is that what you want?
I feel that for me and my bullish Solana long term, they have to really think about their. I think you're right. They have to think about their branding, and right now they have a reoccurring issue of going down when like Coinbase, right? Things start to get stressed, they go down. That's not nothing you want out of a chain. The things that are on them is like Athena said, for obvious reasons: low price meme coins, good UI, UX, great dexes, and stuff like that. And a shit ton of meme coins and stuff like that launching, so you can ape into all kinds of stuff and basically play the crypto casino. But besides that, what are they doing? And I think that when you're talking about more mature projects and more, I guess, um, like ethos based thinking of like, hey, what are we doing here? What do we want to create, and what kind of founder and company do we want? When you start thinking of somebody who are serious, they start going on Ethereum. Don't know if I'm going to be. I would say if I'm bullish, I would say I'm pretty agnostic going forward. If we're saying bullish on price, I am bullish on price because I do not think Solana will not have some good pumps in the future and some good adoption. But do I think that they're going to be the chain for serious application? As of right now, I would say that I'm more bearish on it. So agnostic on the chain in general, bullish on price, bearish on are they going to be serious in the future. I think the other chain that everybody sleeps on, and I think that just because we're American centric, we forgot. But Binance Smart Chain, I mean, I haven't been paying attention to what's on it anymore, honestly, and I haven't used it. But they were the first, like outside of Ethereum, amazing UI, UX, cheap, fast, whatever. They are. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always been a fan of BNB chain. um,
I
yeah,
mean, you were the editor in
from
chief of BSC News, so I mean,
yeah, I mean, if you look, it's got $6 billion in TVL BSC. Pancake Swapped and Venus are still the biggest. Listed DAO seems to be a pretty newer project, blowing up a decentralized stablecoin DAO, BNB Fi. Interesting. Liquid staking BNB. But yeah, I mean, BNB chain, everything at the time was just an Ethereum fork.
yeah.
And
And
it was
they knocked it
very
out of the park.
successful.
They knocked
Yeah,
it out of
they
the
were
park.
very successful.
No
CZ.
issues, no issues. Number went up. Everything was worked perfectly. Like things that worked on Binance Smart Chain, Trust Wallet still I think is the goat of mobile wallets,
Mhm.
and having a Dex in your pocket. Show me a better one. Maybe I'm not using them all right now and figuring it out because I'm kind of old and I'm getting myself a little antiquated because I'm not playing with a lot of stuff. But like that is what you do, in my opinion. And Solana needs to do that. Just do that.
Well, yeah, that's been the disappointment with the Solana mobile, because I have one of those Saga phones, and it really sucks. Um, at first I thought it would be like a fun, like novelty kind of toy to play like blockchain games or to just do silly stuff like that you were just saying, experiment with new dapps, play around with stuff. But there's really been like no innovation, no dapps launching. The games all suck. The interface really sucks. Like, if you wanted to use it as a phone, like you wouldn't be able to. Like here's a feature that's like fucking stupid, is if you can't do QR codes, like how on like phones you just put the camera up. You have to
Right?
get a new you have to have a separate app to do that, because the camera doesn't automatically do that.
Wait, for what?
The Solana Saga phone.
Oh yeah,
And
the
correct me if I'm
Cyberphone.
wrong out there, but well, this is what I'm trying to say is, Solana themselves have shot themselves in the foot with the reputation behind this phone. Maybe
Yeah.
this next phone that they're building is going to be better, but the few thousand people, the 20,000 people who got this first one, it fucking sucks. Um,
So if
and
Athena's spamming, by the way, she said Jupiter Mobile is the best thing to come out of Solana. I haven't used it. I will. She said she's spamming because she's a bag holder and she's trying to pump her bags. So that's about it. But she also says that Solana is creeping into internet culture faster than ever, and that does have value. And that's a very good point. That the culture behind Solana is huge, huge.
yeah, I mean that's what keeps it going. That's what kept it going after the FTX collapse too. Um,
Yeah.
like Bonk was like a reward to fucking Solana people.
But Kyle,
Um,
airdrops, Athena says.
I remember when someone told me that the Saga phone was going to be worth $500,000 in airdrops. I remember just thinking like, wow, that would be really cool, but it's fucking never going to happen. And I don't know, maybe there were a few $1,000s in airdrops. I probably missed them all. Like, the thing ended up paying for itself with the Bonk airdrop. That was like kind of the basic thing behind it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. The bonk airdrop. That's right.
Because if you bought one, it gave you got Bonk, and then
That
Bonk
was already 4 years
pumped.
ago, wasn't it?
No, this was
Three?
2
22?
2023,
2023 was the bonk airdrop?
like winter of 2023. Yeah, like
Really?
December 2023. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Seems like forever.
It
Okay,
was. It
so
was.
22. Athena says 22. No, 22.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think the original Bonk
December of
airdrop,
22.
yeah, was 2022, but then, yeah, the Saga phone was, um, 2023 fall, where they offered the Bonk airdrop through the they offered more Bonk through the phone. So, yeah, there was the original Bonk drop in, yeah, as they're saying, December 2022, but
And then
it was
yes,
a year later that they rewarded people who bought the Saga phone with the Bonk
yes, in
airdrop.
fall of 2023, and the Thetas are doing our fact check over there and spamming everything. She drank her Celsiuses and she's fucking on it.
Dude.
All right, let's move on really quick. We're at about 45 minutes. Do you want to continue with some news, or do you want to just go into listener questions really quick and round it out with the listener questions?
Let's just do the listener questions.
All right, cool.
You
Listener
should
question
listen
number
to the
one.
podcast for the news.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Antonio de Jesus or de Jesus. Antonio says, "Love the show, guys. Just dropping a question for you here. When you guys get to answer questions, can Bitcoin ever lose value? And can Ethereum ever reach Bitcoin levels?" Okay, Antonio, thank you for that. Can Bitcoin ever lose value? Absolutely, it can lose value. It depends what value you're talking about. If you're talking about fiat currency value, absolutely. You talk to anybody who's been here for over 4 years, and we can show you the gray hairs on our heads from hodling. Um, every time it goes down 80%, it's absolutely horrible, and it hurts. It hurts. And then you sit around your house, all pissed off, drinking beer, and playing video games in your mom's basement because you have no money, going, "I should have sold at X amount of dollars." Um, but can Bitcoin lose value in terms of one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin? Now you're talking about philosophical stuff, and then no, you can't. But so yes, yes, Antonio, Bitcoin can lose value. My opinion. Can if Ethereum ever become Bitcoin levels, like Bitcoin levels being a $2.2 trillion market cap? Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, it's at what 320 billion today, so it would have to be 10x from here. But that would put it in the top 10 biggest companies in the world. And I don't see why not if things like substantially were being built on Ethereum. Again, how many companies I would say search how many companies were created in the world and how many companies have created or have achieved a $2 billion market cap, or sorry, $2 trillion market cap, Antonio. And if you see that there's only probably a handful, then you're talking about you are um, playing, you know, at the highest odds table in Vegas of getting that to a $2.2 trillion market cap. So it's not impossible, probably improbable. But then again, the digital community of the future, where we have, honestly, I just think the stable coins in stable coins and in financial institutions' ability to make stable coins is going to be one of the biggest game changers of finance and just the velocity of money ever. And so some of it gonna be on Ethereum and being used that chain, and that chain's gonna just go up because of what's being built on it. I can see it. I can see it. Kyle, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll give the Antonio reason to believe in Ethereum, and it's that, um, and this can be just seen as kind of the devil's advocate answer here. But Ethereum has more upside. Ethereum has more upside for things to be built on it than Bitcoin. Ethereum has more upside to capture more store of value in the sense that um, things like RWAs, real world assets, um, all this stuff we were talking about earlier with Robinhood tokenizing things, that's all going to happen on Ethereum. It's all going to happen on Ethereum compatible networks. They're not going to build it on Bitcoin. And as we just said, they're not going to build it on Solana. They're going to build it on EVM compatible. Even the chain I mentioned earlier, the two, Monad, Bearchain, both are EVM compatible. They're both built to work with Bitcoin, or sorry, with Ethereum. And so the reason to believe in Ethereum is that, yeah, it will encompass everything that can be digitized and tokenized. And so, um, if you think that that can be built on Bitcoin right now, good luck. It's going to take a long time. But all of these industries, from RWAs to tokenizing stocks to everything that we're thinking about, it's all on Ethereum. So, like,
Yep.
is there going to be a like moment where Ethereum's price is, super fucking high and every Ethereum is worth, 50,000 or something, like as high as Bitcoin? I think that's going to take longer than you think, but I think there is a time that's closer than that where Ethereum's market cap goes higher than Bitcoin. And that's because of the reasons I just said. Um, and so that's one of the reasons to believe in Bitcoin or believe in Ethereum.
I don't disagree. Next question comes from, we have Comrade Kyle in the house. Let's see here. You mentioned Will, Bitcoin has been edging us lately. Hopefully it breaks through. Now that I have money in crypto, I want to learn how to secure it as much as possible. What can I do? I'll ask you.
Stick it in a cold wallet and bury it in the ground. um, it really just depends on your own um personal security desire, and how inconvenient you want to make that. Um, and
Inconvenient.
so yeah, like and how often do you plan on wanting access to this Bitcoin?
Keep going. I'll be
If
right
it's
back.
if the access to the Bitcoin is not very often, then look into something like cold storage, where you put it on a cold storage device, like a almost like a USB, and you take it offline and you store it in a safe place away, and it's never going to be put online until you want to effectively use it or transact it again. Um, that's one way to do it very securely. Um, doing things There are things out there right now that are called like social wallets, where you need another person to unlock things. Um, there's those. There's Gnosis wallets, which are multi-signature wallets, where um, you don't necessarily need two people, but you need multiple wallets to accept the transaction. Um, there's still ways that kind of all of those can be compromised, especially if they remain digitally online. Um, Separate from that, there's devices that we were talking about. Matt mentioned, I think it was SafePal. Was that the one you said? Trust Wallet. That was it. Trust Wallet. Yeah, Trust Wallet. Those are good. Just soft, kind of hot and cold storage wallets that are probably a little more flexible than a straight cold wallet that you don't want to use very often. But yeah, even Ledger. Like, Ledger is a good company that has a variety of different products that can potentially suit your security needs. Um, Not to like shill Ledger, but yeah, they do have like several different products where, depending on your security needs, you could buy the product that suits that. So I would just say don't keep it on an exchange.
Hmm. That's interesting because I'm going to say the exact opposite. I would say, okay. So this year, what was Will's exact question? He says, now they have money in crypto. I want to learn how to secure it as much as possible. What can I do? I think Will has to understand. First thing I would ask Will is, what kind of person is he? This all started as, like, creative hobbies for most people, where we're just playing with wallets and sending transactions, and made mistakes with all kinds of stuff. So if you're a new person to crypto and you just put a little money into it, and now you're trying to throw it to a cold wallet, there's look, we've all had the butt pucker moments of sending things to a chain where it didn't transactions took a long time, or it's and
Where your heart
we've all
stops and you don't know if it's gonna make through the bridge.
yes, yes, or did you pay enough gas or what? You know, like we've all been there,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be doing that if you're actually trying to invest and do something. So, are you at that level? Do you understand how it works? And even if you do understand how it works, there's so much risk with this tech, right? And that's why these exchanges and these companies are building systems that are almost foolproof. So if you're an American, I would say just use Coinbase. And if you want, that's only if you want to hold your own Bitcoin. And the only way you're actually holding your own Bitcoin is you're taking off exchanges to put it into a wallet. Maybe you could try that with like $100 or something small just to play with it. If it stays in there and you can know how to do it for a year or two, then you can start moving more off of the exchange where you feel more confident. If you're just trying to get exposure to Bitcoin, either keep it on Coinbase or just go to your bank and have your financial advisor or whoever buy an ETF. Just buy the ETF. Um, I know that's kind of like out of the ethos, but a lot of people are coming into the space and they don't know why they're here. They're just like number go up. They don't play with the tech. They don't play with they never played with the dexes or the apps or the dApps or was as part of a DAO or anything. They don't know any of this. So what do you what do you tell them? And so I just don't want them to take that risk if they don't really know. Honestly, just keep it in exchange. Keep it in exchange or buy the
I
ETF.
mean, I can't trust exchanges though. Part
I
of
don't
the
trust them
recent hack
either.
I was a
You know
part
who I
of
trust
was
less?
basically
Me drinking at 3 a.m. trying to send some.
that's true, but at the same time, try waking up and going, "Wow, what happened to my Coinbase?" And then
Right.
Coinbase's response is, "We're sorry, sir. There was a third party that compromised your account." It's like, well, how did they get through the two-factor authentication? How did they create a whole new wallet and put in a new checking account and an offboard through a checking account? And how did you not recognize that any of this shit was fucking happening in my account? If that happened at a real bank, right? If I'm a real bank and somebody goes in and goes into an account, links a new checking account, starts trying to download a bunch of money and take money, um, there would be notices, text messages to the user, right? As somebody who personally had that happen with Coinbase, none of that happened. Coinbase basically forgot what the definition of what security was and blamed it on me, the user. And this is a part, like, I think it's a part of this, like, I basically told class Coinbase, I was like, okay, well, I'm basically gonna have to wait for this class action lawsuit that's gonna come out against you because I'm obviously a part of some unraveling problem that you have that you can't face publicly. You have to put your fucking CEO on Twitter to go out and threaten
Yeah.
people now
Yeah.
because you have a problem that you have no idea and is out of control. You have basically users having their accounts compromised from the inside out, and you can't get a hold of it. And then none of it's backed by banks. Coinbase is not a bank, so if you lose your money, it's completely lost. But in my case, they actually routed the money through another bank, through a fintech company. They did not send it through a a blockchain transaction. Coinbase is unwilling to contact those banks on my behalf.
So
The intermediary, the person who hacked me contacted sent their money out through what's called Chime Bank, which is a fintech company.
oh yeah, well, I
Chime
know Chime.
sucks, but Chime has, especially for transactions, Chime has to use a parent bank. They have two parent banks. I've written to both of them on my own accord saying, "Can Coinbase do this?" They said Coinbase has to check on their end. I've contacted Coinbase. Coinbase has told me that they're unwilling to contact the bank on my behalf.
Yeah.
So
No, no,
it's like then fuck Coinbase. Like fuck
I
that.
agree.
It's every
I
situation you
agree.
turn, it's their fault. Like
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't disagree. I think that's why I kind of say just buy an ETF. I mean, for 90% of the people, the ETF is the on ramp. And I know that's the cop out. That is not the Bitcoin way. But if you were gonna say take the time and learn the system and trust yourself, like for people like me, I have moved how many times in the past, 6 years? One, two, three, four, 5 times in the past 6 years. If you're like me, Like, what do you do, man? Like, you either have a bank or some kind of like like I don't know this person's
I mean,
life.
I get it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I don't
get
know
it.
if
You
he's.
not
I don't know if this
everybody can be
person's.
carrying seed phrases in their pockets written down. It's
Exactly,
complicated.
exactly. So it's like, and then you might be at your whose house do you live in? Is it the landlord? Is it your mom? Is it your brother? Like, like there's like seriously security issues that you have to think about. And so just like if you just want exposure, Bitcoin or Ethereum, buy the ETF. For 99%, I think 90% of the people, that's where it falls into, unless you're of that mindset, of understanding, of the diligence, of security, of stability. There's definitely risk. And I agree with you about exchanges, man. Like the people get wrecked are people that have a lot on exchanges.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's because it's people on exchanges who are expecting the exchange to more or less act like a bank. And I think that that is the problem is people have this mentality of like, oh, if it's on an exchange, it is secure. And the point is that it's not. And most people think that. And if it comes down to the point of the exchange needing to use your money to pay their debts, they're going to do that. And it's going to be at your expense. And I now am basically facing the problems of Coinbase outsourcing their security to third party countries that are not in the country that they operate business, which makes it now extremely difficult to for them to unravel their security problems.
Isn't it the
Hey, Matt
cutest
Damon for
thing?
Congress.
Isn't that the
Yeah,
cutest thing? That's what I sent out for people who donated to the campaign. Like my neighbor did the art. He's a talented
for
artist
July
and
4th,
photographer.
the 4th. Yeah, man, it's tomorrow. Big
Yeah,
day.
it is. All right, let's try one more question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Where is Kyle? We do have an absolute horrific problem when it comes to the customer service and exchanges, and I can and there's no recourse for people because customer if they just tell you no and like class action lawsuits don't work, you're not going to get a. It's just a disaster, honestly, right now. And anyway, what else do we have here? Um, 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 um.
Any other
Let's see.
questions?
I think that's pretty much it that we could address here. To be honest with you, a lot of them were just random comments. It sounds like crypto ASMR. What's that? Doesn't matter. Who
Autonomous
cares?
sensory meridian response? I don't know.
What is that, bro? Is that a ticker? Anyway, no. Thanks everybody. Athena said, "Why don't you just memorize your seed phrase?" Trust my memory. What are you talking about? That's
Well, if
crazy.
you have like 5 wallets, it just gets more complicated.
24 words, 12 words, maybe 24. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Kyle. Well, that was good. Thank you very much for popping on today. Everybody, I will be
Yeah, of
back.
course.
I'll be back tomorrow with the daily crypto news. You're gonna get two doses of Matt. And just really quick, I just want everybody to understand a couple of things. Is number one is that me and Kyle do the show differently, and that's a good thing. I am definitely more political focused, much more about like higher um, philosophical thoughts about crypto, blah blah blah. And Kyle is actually looking more into smaller projects and DeFi and things that are way more niche that I'm never gonna touch in a million years because I don't care. So when you
Mm.
listen to the different shows, just know that you're getting different shows and different hosts with different ideas and different. We are again just doing this out of a labor of love because we like it, have fun doing it, and engaging with everybody. And I hope that you get something from it. The more you engage with us, the better that we get. The more we focus the show. The more you send emails and the more you leave comments on Spotify or in Substack. Our Substack has grown to about 2,200 subscribers, which I think is for some people who just do it as just having fun, going out there and just doing a blog or two a day. I mean, we're growing pretty well. The podcast is still banging, and And yeah, one of these days, Kyle and I are gonna get in a stable spot where he's gonna buy a house, he's gonna have his wedding, he's gonna get married, and we're gonna be shuffling around our stability all day, and we'll actually take this seriously and turn this into a proper news channel and news business. But until then, you got what you got, and but please keep engaging.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Send the
uh,
comments when you can. We'd love it.
all right, all right, brother. I'll talk to you.
All right. Go Giants.